They say Eid al-Adha is a celebration of sacrifice, but what if it's the story of everything we've ever feared and everything we've ever hoped for? This isn't just about the pilgrimage to Mecca or the slaughtering of sheep in distant lands. This is the story of one of humanity's oldest rituals, born in the deserts of Arabia, carried across continents, and still burning in the hearts of millions today. From Abraham's legendary test to the bustling streets of Jakarta, Lagos, Istanbul, and London, Eid al-Adha is more than a holiday. It's a living legacy. And once you understand what lies beneath it, you'll never look at it the same way again. It begins in silence, in a time long before kingdoms and empires, in a desert where the only witness to history was the wind. Abraham, a man revered by three of the world's major religions, stands at the center of a moment so profound, so paradoxical, that it would echo through time. According to Islamic tradition, he has a dream, not once but repeatedly. In it, he sees himself sacrificing his beloved son, Ismail. The dream is not a nightmare nor a hallucination. It is, in his understanding, a divine command. But the weight of it is unbearable. What kind of test is this? What God would demand the unthinkable? What faith does it take to even consider obeying? Yet Abraham prepares. He walks with his son, not revealing the full truth until the very end. They carry the wood. They walk toward the place of sacrifice. Ismail, young yet aware, asks about the vision. He listens. He accepts. He too submits. And just when Abraham raises the blade, just when the air itself seems to collapse under the pressure of what is about to happen, the divine voice intervenes. A ram appears. The sacrifice was never meant to be the boy. It was the act of willingness, the surrender of the heart that mattered. That moment became the foundation of Eid al-Adha, the festival of sacrifice. But this story, thousands of years old, is not locked in a book or buried in history. Every year on the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, the last month of the Islamic calendar, millions of Muslims remember this event not through words alone, but through action. Eid al-Adha is not merely a religious occasion. It is a sweeping, global phenomenon connecting the sacred to the everyday, the divine to the domestic, the ancient to the modern. At the heart of this celebration is the act of sacrifice. An animal, a sheep, goat, cow, or camel, is offered not as an arbitrary ritual, but as a symbol of submission, of obedience, of gratitude. And here lies a detail that many overlook. The meat is divided into three parts. One part for the family, one part is for relatives and friends, and one part for the poor and needy. It's not about feasting for oneself. It's about ensuring that no one in the community is left hungry. It's about sharing joy, sharing food, sharing blessings. In this way, Eid becomes a vehicle for social justice, a moment where wealth is redistributed, not by law, but by love. And while the story begins with Abraham, its spirit lives in the modern world in astonishing ways. In the days leading up to Eid, markets in Muslim-majority countries come alive with a unique energy. Streets fill with the bleating of goats, in the deep, echoing calls of cattle. Children form instant attachments to the animals, feeding them, naming them, and treating them almost like pets. There's laughter, there's excitement, and there's also a growing sense of anticipation. But there's also reverence. These animals are not taken lightly. They are honored. Their sacrifice is respected, because it's not about blood, it's about meaning. Then as dawn breaks on the morning of Eid, a transformation occurs. Families rise early. They bathe and dress in their finest clothes, new garments if possible, clean and elegant if not. The air is scented with incense, perfumes, and the distant sound of the takbir, the call to glorify God. Mosques overflow with worshipers. Prayers spill out into courtyards, sidewalks, and parking lots. In cities across the world, from Cairo to Kuala Lumpur, from New York to Nairobi, the communal prayer of Eid unites millions in a single breath, a single bull. After the prayer, the sacrifice begins. In villages, it's done in courtyards. In cities, it's organized at special centers or even carried out by charities on behalf of distant donors. Technology has brought Eid into the digital age. Now, with a few clicks, Muslims can arrange for animals to be sacrificed in remote parts of the world, ensuring the meat reaches refugees, orphans, or famine-stricken communities. This is not just about tradition, it is about impact. A spiritual gesture that feeds the hungry, sustains the poor, and spreads dignity. In the homes of Muslims everywhere, the day is filled with feasting, visiting, laughter, and reflection. Relatives come bearing dishes, spiced stews, grilled meats, and sweet desserts like baklava, mamul, or sheer kurma. Children receive small gifts or cash known as Eid. Elders are honored, tables are crowded, hearts are full. But the joy of Eid is not just found in full bellies, it's in full hearts. Because at its essence, Eid al-Adha is about something deeper than ritual. It's about unity, faith, and sacrifice in all its forms. Not just of animals, but of ego, of pride, of selfishness. Yet for all its beauty, Eid al-Adha faces challenges in the modern world. In non-Muslim countries, Muslims often struggle to find places to perform the sacrifice or take time off for prayer. In some regions, the act of animal sacrifice itself is misunderstood, criticized, or even legally restricted. And beyond the legal barriers, there are cultural ones, where media portrayals fuel Islamophobia, or where Muslim youth feel disconnected from the stories that once defined their ancestors. How do you hold on to tradition in a world moving so fast? How do you explain a sacred moment to someone who sees only the surface? In many households, a new problem arises: generational distance. Young Muslims, especially those raised in the West, often ask why the sacrifice matters. Why follow a tradition that seems bloody or outdated? And the answer lies not in the act, but in the meaning behind it. The challenge is not simply to continue a practice, but to understand it, to feel it, to know that Eid al-Adha is not about the past, but about the present, about learning that sacrifice means giving up what you love for something greater, that love isn't measured by how tightly we hold on, but how willingly we let go. Across the globe, new conversations are happening. Mosques are holding workshops. Families are telling the story of Abraham not as a myth, but as a mirror for every person facing a difficult decision. A parent putting their child's needs above their own, a worker choosing honesty over gain, a refugee walking away from everything to save their family. These too are sacrifices. These too are sacred. And just as the Prophet Abraham stood with his son,